Yeah, and speaking of court, Candace, I told you I was staying on top of this Macron case. I don't care if I'm the only one reporting on updates. Every time something happens with this Macron case, I am reporting on it. So you all see here's the court docket because there's been some updates made. Case number N is in Nancy 25 C is in Candace line S dash 07 dash 194 Macron versus Candace Owens et al. And they have a great chance of winning, especially if Candace has to be interrogated and they put her ass under oath. Candace, please go to court. I beg of you. Go to court and lie under oath. Please let that happen. I want you to go to court, Candace Owens, and I want you to exercise all that free speech you think you have. And I want you to hammer it in. You can speak up, make sure you speak loud and proud all over the judge, piss the judge off. Just go all the way there. You might as well. You're a rebel, right? You say you're a rebel. So when you go to court, why don't you show us all how much of a rebel you are? Boy, I wish I could see those hearings in person. Y'all, if I could go to the state of Delaware and experience those court hearings in person, that would be something else. If I could, I would. I'm gonna be honest. I would have to be like sponsor or someone raise money for that. But if I could, I would go to those hearings in person and I will report on everything. And it will be epic. This girl does not want this case to move forward. So let's go down to the docket to the newest entries. So the last entry that we saw here, if you guys are paying attention, let me make sure I'm make this bigger and I'm smaller. Y'all, this girl does not want this case. She does not want this case to proceed. She has an open leg closed, open and closed leg case. Yeah, but they about to whoop her ass in court. Candace is about to catch y'all. And I am on top of you, Candace, with this case. Like white on rice or yellow rice, brown rice. I don't care. Pick a rice. I am on it. So y'all saw the updates. Let's start with the October 24th. That was submitted and docketed on October 28th. This is from her attorney regarding them wanting an extension again for their brief to support their motion to dismiss the first amended complaint. And then there was a letter for judicial review docketed October 28th, as well with the request from her attorney. And then the Macron's attorney, Michael J. Farnan, submitted a letter for judicial review that was docketed October 29th to the judge, responding to the defendant's request to increase the word limit. And I'm assuming that they probably said, hell no, because you all already agreed that you would stick to the timeline. We don't have time for this. Stop prolonging the case. And so here you see a withdrawing of that request for additional word limit in the opening brief by Candace's attorney. This was docketed on October 29th. So they withdrew the request for the extension. And then you see this notice right here from October 28th that was docketed October 29th because there was a rejection of the notice improper filing. So more than likely, the Macron's attorney was like, nope, we object to this whole extension. This is going to go on forever. Their client continues to double down and make statements. We had to file an amended complaint to add on the new and additional, evidence and claim because she keeps doing it. If they don't want this to be dismissed, why are they stalling? Why do they keep asking for extensions? They've already filed a motion to dismiss. We can't keep doing this. Whatever they can't put in writing, they can present their verbal legal argument in the actual hearing on the motion. So they're going to have a hearing on that motion to dismiss either way. So they can just make their legal argument and add on those 3,000 extra words. Why stall the case for that? Stick to the timeline. So now we have October 30th, The affidavit filed from Candace's attorney, docketed November 1st. And I told you all I was expecting to see something updated by the 1st when we last looked at this. This is an affidavit from Catherine Mowry, who's the attorney for Candace, support of defendant's opening brief in support of its motion to dismiss and to strike the first amended complaint with a certificate of service exhibit 1 to the transmittal affidavit. So you all see here, they filed another motion to dismiss, and they have exhibit 1, which is the dismiss the transmittal of the affidavit, and then they have another exhibit 2 right here that supports the motion itself, the brief, to strike the first amended complaint. And then you see this docket for the motion to dismiss, docketed on November 1, defendant's motion to dismiss and to strike the first amended complaint with the certificate of notice of the motion. So basically, they're saying they served the actual motion to the other party, and they want to strike the first amended complaint with the proposed order to the defendant's motion to dismiss and to strike the first amended complaint attached. Then the opening brief was filed. And this was October 30th, docketed November 1st. So y'all see, they got the amended, their motion to dismiss for the amended complaint. They got it in by October 30th. So why would her attorney want an extension? They obviously was able to get it done and submit it to the court on October 30th. And y'all see, they was almost closed, 3:40 p.m. Typically, court closes at like 5 when you try to file something to the court. You have until the end of that business day. And it's typically standard for it to be, 4:35 p.m., maybe 5:30 in some courts. But you all see that here. So they barely made it. October 30th, 3:40 p.m. So they have the affidavit, the motion itself, and the opening brief that accompanies the motion. So the brief is kind of like that legal argument where they're giving case law and the law and, trying to say why it's based on, they're claiming lack of jurisdiction and something with libel tourism, which is, not true, because she filed a lawsuit in the same state in the Superior Court of Delaware against USAA Today a couple years ago. So all of a sudden now they don't have jurisdiction. Get the hell out of here. So the Macron's attorney is not playing. So they stuck to the date. And you all see here, docketed November 1, opening brief in support of the motion to dismiss and to strike the first amended complaint. And then you have the certificate of service, in compliance with the requirement. So they got the stuff in. So what they want, once again, they're doubling down on having this dismissed. But Candace Owens said on Tucker Carlson's show, she doesn't want it dismissed. She said on her show, she's looking forward to the discovery phase. If you're looking forward to the discovery phase, you don't file a motion to dismiss. You just file a response. This is one of the types of responses and reply you can submit to the court with regards to a complaint or a pleading sent from the other party. So let's say the Macrons decide to file a motion, to redact some information in the record. Then the defendant would have the opportunity to respond to that motion. So anytime either party files a motion, the other party gets to file a response. And sometimes that's what makes these court processes as lengthy as it is. You have this back and forth exchange here. Anytime one party files a motion, the other party can file a response to that motion. And then if they want to go back and then file a response to that response, it can go back and forth for a while before you get to the point where hearings are being scheduled. And I think the Macrons are ready for them to just go ahead. Let's start the hearings process. Go ahead and have this hearing on the motion to dismiss. Preferably the judge goes ahead and denies the motion, and then it can proceed. Because what does Candace have to hide? She wanted this. She staked her whole career on this. Candace, now you want to sit here and file a motion to dismiss and, of course, strike the first amended complaint. You want to strike it? Why? Why? They amended it because you kept doubling down. You refused to shut up. And if Erica Kirk has to tell you to shut up, she's not going to do it on social media. She's going to do it with the help of an attorney. You don't want her to tell you to shut up, and she should not have to tell you to shut up. She's not in the mood for your dumb antics and conspiracy theories. She's not in the mood to be attacked by you and your brainless, brainless cult members. She's not in the mood for that. Why would you want to put her in a position where you feel like she needs to accept the heat because she's the CEO? But yet you don't want anyone questioning you about you lying about having 2 damn degrees or about you lying about this case here. You can't make this up. Candace goes crazy over LLC criticizing her. I'm sure she does. Candace, you can kick rocks, girl. Barefoot. I don't care. Throw your tantrum. Why don't you get your binky and your baba ready? With you and the babies. We all know you drink their juicy juice. We all know Candace be drinking the baby's juicy juice and eating their cookies and snack time. No, these are mommy's cookies. You can bite one. What the hell? Here's a sippy cup. When does the case actually get going? Get rolling? It basically at this phase, they filed their response. I foresee them going ahead to schedule a hearing now. And I'm sure the Macron's attorney has submitted a request to schedule a hearing for the motion to dismiss. So that's the next step, really. And once they get the motion, the hearing for the motion to dismiss done, preferably from that, and I'm just 98% positive this judge is going to say, okay, this court does have jurisdiction over the matter. This is not about libel tourism. You know, either they file the lawsuit here based on her LLC registration, or it can file it in the state where she resides. But either way, you can't say that they don't have a case when she keeps doubling down on it now. And they want to strike the first amended complaint because they know this amended complaint is a pure reflection of Candace Owens doubling down on her lies with no evidence. Even after getting the initial complaint, she still keeps going back saying you were born a man because you are a man. You were born a man. You are a man. You were born one. She still keeps making those false allegations. When I say reckless disregard of the truth, you don't get to pick and choose if you want to accept some evidence or not, because that's not how it works in a court of law. And there's a jury demand here. So it won't be necessarily the decision of the judge. You're going to have a jury deciding this. And they're not going to sit here and be studying Candace Owens' stupid conspiracy theories. So when they see all the evidence, and especially when they bring scientific evidence, they're going to shut her ass down. That's going to be the end of that. I foresee at this point, of course, the petitioner requesting a hearing, and then Candace Owens' attorneys probably telling her, listen, you will not do well under oath. You're lying on your channel about having 2 degrees. Lady Luck Club is calling your ass out. You might want to think about settling. So they might, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw this, see an actual entry for a request to, mediate or, some attempt to try to settle this. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that, if they tried to do that. The defendant, if Candace and her attorneys, or, Candace and her attorneys, because they represent her. If she felt like they weren't doing what she wanted them to do, she will fire them and get new attorneys. She's got the money. So it's like I think she's gonna try to, once they see, okay, If let's say the motion to dismiss is denied, I think her and her attorney is going to try to at least, request for the court to grant them the opportunity to mediate the matter and to try to settle out of court. Because if you settle out of court, that mediation, the settlement, whatever was discussed is inadmissible. So it's kind of like the court isn't going to dip into your private conversations you have to try to settle this. So all they would do is accept whatever the settlement agreement is. But as far as the conversations that's had, they're not obligated to submit all of that to the court. So I'm thinking, because she's a narcissist, she doesn't want to be wrong. She doesn't want people to look at her like, you lied to you. You said you didn't want this dismissed. You said you want to get to the discovery phase. What's going on? They denied the motion to dismiss. Watch how she try to pull a card on the Macrons and want to try to arbitrate or mediate, rather, to try to go and mediate the matter. And then what, Candace? If you do that, then you're really going to look like a hypocrite. Whether your cult members believe it or not is irrelevant. Some of them might snap out of it. You trying to settle? I thought you wanted to get to the discovery phase. Because most of them probably don't know how court works either. They don't understand this civil procedures. They don't understand it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they attempt to try to get a mediation going if the motion to dismiss is denied. It would not shock me one little bit. They filed over 200 pages in the complaint. They have a treasure trove of evidence, and now they're going to be bringing in scientific evidence. I can guarantee you they're going to try and attempt to do some sort of mediation to try to reach an agreement, a settlement. Because they don't have to disclose the evidence or the conversations in mediation. And they don't want that scientific evidence to get out there. If they go through the courts, it's available to the public. If they mediate it, it can be kept confidential between the parties. Which one you all think Candace is going to do? If they see the scientific evidence that the Macrons bring in, and her attorneys are the ones that went to law school, they can't be as dingy and dumb as she is. They're going to have to be reasonable and logical. And they see the evidence, the scientific evidence from the Macrons. What's the chances of her and her attorney still wanting to go to the discovery phase and have that discovery out there? What's the chances of that? Because if it's irrefutable that she was born a woman and she's still a woman, and it's scientific evidence, she can only lie about that for so long. Then what? Now we, the public, get to see all those exhibits if it's released, if it goes through the court process. But if it goes through mediation, they're not required to release that information to the public. It won't even, the conversations won't even go to the court. Just the settlement agreement. It'll be a way for her to dodge the accountability of people seeing that she lied, because the facts and the evidence of the case will be kept confidential with the actual mediation. You can't make this up. And I'm thinking that's pretty much, her way of trying to get around this, because she knows if people see this scientific evidence, it's going to literally, her whole reputation is really going to crumble. They can question everything all they want, but at some point, you got to be realistic. In this reality here on Earth, Candace, you can't dismiss every single piece of evidence. You can't dismiss facts and laws because your feelings. Just like you said, facts and laws don't give a damn about how you feel. She can only keep this up for so long, people. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be costly for her to go through the legal process, because the Macrons, they ain't got nothing to worry about. They know at the end, they're going to get their attorney's fees paid through a judgment if it goes to that point. But if she settles it, they can reach a settlement based on the damages and the attorney's fees and all of that, and could easily say, hey, we don't want to disclose this information. Now it's kept out of the public limelight. And then she can come out and say whatever she wants. Oh, well, they decided they wanted to, they begged my attorneys to settle. And, I feel that they knew that they wouldn't be able to handle it and blah, blah, blah. And the Macrons would be like, whatever, girl, bye. Bye, Felicia. Whatever, Felicia. Bye, girl. Bye. Bye, Heifer. Because she knows that she can't come out looking like a complete fool. And that's what that hearing is going to do. This is something else. And then she's trying to get, man, she tried to get Trump to intervene. Trump told her, you know what? Can you just shut up? In so many words. Can you just shut up? I mean, she looks like a woman to me. I've seen her. I don't get it. Trump stayed out of it because he knows I'm not going to get involved with that. She brought that on herself. Candace Owens brought that lawsuit upon herself, just like the lawsuit with the apartment and her yeast infections and all the stuff with the black mold. She brought that on herself. she knows she's screwed if this goes to discovery. Candace Owens, you don't know how court works or the law or the definition of the word nationalism or treasonous or friend or fact or real. you need a whole vocabulary lesson. Lie. You don't have 2 degrees. You lied about that. You're a complete liar, Candace. You would not sustain this court hearing, this whole litigation process. You would crack. The moment they try to depose your behind, you're going to lie under oath because you can't help yourself. And if you don't lie, you tell the truth, Lady Luck Club is going to get the court transcript. Oh, yes, I will. And then I'm going to say what you said on the record. And I'm going to read it for all 28,000 of my supporters, for the Lucksters here in the Lady Luck Club. And either way, we're going to know what you said under that deposition. Oh, yes, we will. I told you I'm on it. I'm not giving you a moment's peace, girl, with this, because you didn't have to take it this far, Candace. You did not have to keep lying, saying that this woman was born a man. No one told you to say that. Maybe the devil. Keep listening to them voices in your head, girl. You can't make this up, y'all. This is so far what we got with the case. This is it right here, y'all. So I'm looking forward to it. The next phase, hopefully the next step in this is the hearing on the motion. And then after that, I'm thinking there's a 78% chance that they're going to want to settle out of court because the evidence is overwhelming. The scientific evidence would just be a slam dunk. And they know they don't have a chance in court once this motion to dismiss is denied. They won't have a chance. And even if this is dismissed, if this is granted, let's say the motion to dismiss is granted, the Macrons will refile in the court in the state where she resides. So she still has to face this no matter how you put it. They can call it whatever they want. They have the right to seek justice. This defamation is out of control. Look how she's handling this, Charlie Kirk's death. Look how she has lied religiously and relentlessly on others, blaming and accusing them of murdering someone, to include our United States military. Now people are treasonous. Now she wants to move to Russia because she doesn't like the FBI director. The extremism that she reflects. People are catching death threats because they're listening to her. And she refuses to denounce Nicholas Ray for issuing those death threats against the Jewish conservatives. She refuses to denounce those actions. Candace, you really think it's okay for someone to catch death threats from a man who listens to you and a neo-Nazi? Do you really think that's okay? How about you doxing and putting out people's personal information, employment information, or you posting up Charlie Kirk's medical file without consent. That's not journalism. That's you being soulless and evil and an idiot. Just like this here. This Macron lawsuit, you want to strike the First Amendment complaint. Nope. Denied and denied. Y'all can go sit down. That's what I want the judge to say. Denied and denied. When are you guys available for the hearing? We're going to start this process. We're not doing this. After all she said and done, man, you know that the Macron's attorneys have got to be watching her shows. They've got to be watching her videos and listening to everything she says, because all the stuff she's doing with Charlie Kirk, she has done with the Macrons, and she's probably going to do moving on with the next thing that's trending. She sees Charlie Kirk's death as an opportunity, not a way to bring forth any truth or anything to the forefront, especially when she tells a dumb lie about having 2 degrees with no evidence of proof. You can't make this up. She thinks she the FBI KGB. Wait until she runs into the KGB.